Hi guys, it is day 70 of the national lockdown in South Africa and the latest news with regards to the levels. Here we go. The High Court judgment that declared levels 3 and 4 of the lockdown unconstitutional and invalid has been described by some experts as flawed, with one saying if it goes on appeal, it will most likely be overturned. This comes as the government on Thursday indicated it intends to appeal court's ruling. The judgment has delivered on Tuesday following the applications brought by the Liberty Fighters Network and the Holobana Renaissance Foundation. In his ruling, Judge Norman Davis found little or no regard was given to the extent of the impact of individual regulations on the constitutional rights of people and whether the extent of limitations of their rights was justifiable or not. The starting point was not how can we, as the government, limit constitutional rights in the least possible fashion while still protecting the inhabitants of SA, but rather we seek to achieve our goal by whatever means, irrespective of costs, and we will determine, albeit incrementally, which constitutional rights you, as the people of South Africa, may exercise, he said. However, speaking to News 24 this week, legal counsellor at Lawyers of Human Rights Thandeka Chake said judges should ensure their judgments were clear and well reasoned, particularly in cases that concern public interest. What this judgment has unfortunately done was to create more confusion than clarity, and really it was missed opportunity to address the issues surrounding questions about the regulations and their status in concise manner, she added. It is flawed judgment and it goes on appeal, it will most likely be overturned. The main problem with the judgment is that while there was an attack on regulations as a whole, the judge only looked at specific regulations. The regulations dealing with curfews on exercise, and the regulations dealing with visitations of families, and regulations dealing with funerals. Chauke said after the judge looked at specific examples and found there were no rational links to the purpose of a national state of disaster, he declared all the regulations in terms of level 3 and 4 unconstitutional and invalid, and that is where the main problem is. She added that the judgment itself was not coherent. Shoo. So it is difficult for the average citizen or the average civilian to understand what it means, and people need to caution to remember that this declaration of constitutional invalidity has been suspended for 14 days for the government to remedy what the problem the judges highlighted is. And even then, when there is a declaration of constitutional invalidity in the High Court, it must still be referred to the Constitutional Court for final confirmation. So people need to understand we are still under lockdown and the level 3 regulations are still applicable right now. Dr. Justice Alfred Mabedezinge, who is an academic and legal advisor at the International Commission of Jurists, said the judgment served as a reminder that even during a crisis such as COVID-19, government measures should still be rational in order for them to be constitutionally valid. He, however, added that judgments should have provided more detail on why each regulation was irrational. The judgment falls short by failing to engage with each regulation and demonstrate the irrationality. Why'd you ask the 58 million people in the country to tell you that? We don't need one judge to tell you that. The judgment could be provided more detail on why each regulation is irrational. The reasoning in the judgment is that because some regulations are irrational, therefore all are irrational. They are all irrational. I'm not going to go on. This is a long ass speech. The court declared invalid the regulations promulgated by the Minister of Cooperation and Traditional Affairs, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so now the government has got 14 days to say why they're putting things under lockdown. I'm not too sure. what's going to happen. There's also been churches who have refused to open up their churches, and I saw something that the lockdown has been extended to the 15th of July. I'm trying to find more information about that because the 15th of July is a Wednesday, like it's in the middle of the week. So why would they be lifted on Wednesday? Um, I'm back at work. I find that working in my office is kind of helping me concentrate, but I'm still feeling a little bit, overwhelmed and still struggling to concentrate, tired, sleepy. Um, yeah, I yeah. Um, I think this lockdown is affecting everyone in the country, and it's just weird how it's been divided. Um, when the lockdown initially happened, we had armies patrolling the streets. We don't even have that anymore. Under level 3 of the national lockdown, neighborhood watch can go back to patrolling. So I'm just wondering, where's the army now? It's starting to screw up now. I just did some research. Italy is one of the longest standing lockdown. Is now lifted their lockdown. Manila in Philippines are I don't think they have lifted their lockdown. So it's South Africa and Manila. It's Manila Philippines. Shit. Is Manila one country? Fuck. I should know this. I was in a play where it actually mentioned Manila. I think it's a country. I'm sure it's a country. Meme. So Manila and South Africa are the longest um, lockdown. We are now going to 10 weeks of lockdown, and it's day 70.